Hey you beautiful people, how's it going, and welcome to a new build guide. So in this one, this is more of an upgrade for my Facebreaker Max Block character. This is a variant with a weapon, which a lot of people requested, and it turned out quite nicely. As you can see, the DPS is smooth. We just destroyed the Maven in seconds. It's very tanky. As you can see, now I'm just chilling in this Harbinger pack of mobs, just spinning to win basically. It has 79% chance to block, as well as 15% chance to dodge incoming damage because of aspect of the cat. And yeah, it's just a very smooth character to play. If you don't like dying, if you like a character that can do just pretty much everything, then this character is probably for you. Obviously, there's better options for clear speed, but overall, it's a very nice rounded character. It can do the feared, it can do all content. The lesser version, the Facebreaker version, already did the feared, so I haven't showcased it in this video, but it's pretty straightforward. The build is just solid. So yeah, I'll get into it in a second, and yeah, I'll see you there. Alright guys, so before I get into the build guide, I just want to say, if you want to ask any questions about the build, or you just want to talk about Path of Exile in general, feel free to drop by my Discord. We have a nice little community growing over there, 35 members strong at the moment and counting. So if you want to pop by and say hi, that'd be great. Links in the description. So getting into the video now. So Farrell's Fur is the armor that we're starting with. You don't necessarily need a double corrupted one like this. This is just one that I made earlier in the league. You may have seen the video. Yeah, I just wanted to try it out before the league was over. So +2 duration and AoE works with Val Cyclone only, because Val Cyclone has the duration tag. Normal Cyclone only has AoE, so just bear that in mind if you get one similar to this. So yeah, just Farrell's Fur, standard one is fine. Moving on to the helmet, Abyssus with the Cyclone attack speed enchant is the best enchant you can get for DPS. 40% increased fizz damage, hopefully. You can find one like that with a decent melee crit multi-roll. This one cost me about 2 exalted orbs, so yeah, kind of cheap there. Moving on to the shield, the Surrender, just always pretty much the best in slot for max block characters. Grants level 30 Reckoning, max life, recover life on block, more chance to block, and armor on block. You know what I mean? It's just so good. Free real estate, it's so great. So yeah, after that, Rislava's Coil, again another unique, guys. We use quite a few uniques in this build. Rislava's Coil is the best belt in terms of damage. So if you're going to be bossing, definitely slap on your Rislava's Coil. If you're going to be mapping, feel free to switch to a Headhunter for clear speed. Headhunter does make this build feel quite nice for doing juicier maps. But you can still do it with the Rislavas, you just obviously won't be as fast with as you would with a Headhunter. So moving on from the uniques, bar the Paradoxica, which I'll get into in a bit. We'll do the rings first. So the rings, there's a lot of ways you can go about the rings. For my specific rings, I'm using Assassin's Mark on hit with Fizz, attack speed, and multi. But a ring like this is kind of hard to craft and will be quite expensive. So if you really want a budget version, you can just use Assassin's Mark with Fizz and then life and whatever other stats, or you can also go with vulnerability if you don't really care for Assassin's Mark that much. I've just gone for this for, you know, faster bossing, which is great. But yeah, you don't necessarily need it. So Fizz and whatever curse you want to use, life, whatever. Resistances, absolutely fine. If you can get one with the Aurion craft as well, with minus mana cost, which would obviously be very hard to get, but if you could get one like that, even on this ring or this ring, your Cyclone will not cost any mana if you get the -8 roll on it, because our Cyclone only costs 8 mana, so just bear that in mind. If you wonder why I'm using a mana flask, it's because my Cyclone does cost mana, and I run out quite quickly if I'm not leeching, so yeah. For the other ring, I'm using just a very fat resistance ring. As you can see, we have a lot of unique, so we are kind of starved for resistances a bit. So this is a really strong ring in terms of resistances. And then just got some tier 1 fizz on there, as well as Ashling Life with mana regen, which is also quite nice. Yeah, rings similar to this, they aren't that expensive, to be honest. Even this one wasn't that expensive, so it shouldn't be a problem to get a fat resist ring with a bit of fizz on. Moving on to the amulet. Again, on the amulet, you could also get the Aurion roll, the -8. Just bear in mind, guys, you do need an open suffix for aspect of the cat somewhere, and mine comes onto the amulet. So on my amulet, I'm using Crit Multi, which is fractured from essences, and then slapped on a Fizz essence on it. So yeah, and just roll with the Fizz essence until you get something nice. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Just Crit Multi and Fizz, and then bonus stats that you can find. Not too expensive, to be honest. One like this one's a bit more you know, well rolled, so this one would be a bit more expensive, but they're pretty standard stuff. It costs you about 4 to 10x depending on what rolls you can get. And hopefully go with a int base, something that has int, so turquoise or lapis, however you pronounce it, I think that's right. Yeah, because you will need quite a bit of int if you want the infused channeling, which, yeah, costs quite a bit of int. So, yeah, definitely an int base. And then we're allocating disemboweling for this, but I'll go over that when I get to the skill tree. Moving on from this, I'll go with the boots. The boots is just Tailwind elusive, and then whatever stats you can pick up on that. Hopefully movement speed with Onslaught would be better than these ones, but these ones are quite cheap. They were about 7x, I think, 6, 7x, something like that. So yeah, that was quite a nice bonus, so I thought I'd just buy these ones. So yeah, Tailwind, elusive, Onslaught, if you can grab it. Moving on to the gloves. These are double influence, but they've only got one modifier. I just bought them like this. These ones are absolutely fine for my build, quite cheap. +1 frenzy charge, because I'm also using feral, so having a +1 frenzy is very nice to have. And then these have tier 1 fizz, as well as some accuracy, and accuracy is quite nice because it lets me drop a node off my tree and save a point. And then I've got ashling, strength, and int on here. Again, int very important. And we also have life. So yeah, pretty, to be fair, not very expensive considering, because this is crafted attack speed. Tier 1 attack speed will obviously be very expensive with those, but crafted attack speed drops the price quite a lot. Moving on to the last part of gear, which is the Paradoxica. So you want one with fizz damage and impale, as well as attack speed quality, which is, you know, always the best roll. And hopefully you can get one that has the healer 30% quality on it, so we've got 48% quality in total. And these, they vary in price, to be honest. They can go between 20 to 40x at this point in the league, because you don't know how many people are online actually selling these, so it can be a bit awkward. But yeah, this one, I think it cost me about 30x. So yeah, onto the flask. Lion's Roar, 25% more melee fizz damage is always good. And then a Bottled Faith as well, because crit, and, you know, just Bottled Faith's just so good as well. Then after that, we're using a Diamond Flask, because again, we're crit. And I'm using the Mana Flask, because I don't have the Aurion craft, so my Cyclone costs 5 mana. So, like, if I'm mapping, it's fine, because I have Leech, but sometimes on bosses, if I mess up, I might need to use this. So I always keep one just in case, which gives me immune to curse. Then I also have a Quicksilver Flask. I don't really need a Life Flask on this, to be honest, because you don't really get hit that much, unless you're, you know, fighting someone with a lot of degen. So I also have Enduring Cry, which is basically a flask, let's face it. Enduring Cry is so sick if you can actually learn to use it manually. So yeah, that about covers the gear. I will jump into the skill tree next. Okay guys, so before I jump into the skill tree, I just quickly want to jump onto this spreadsheet that I totally forgot to bring up. So for the prices for the gear, my cost for the overall gear is about 79.5x-ish. If you were to buy everything at just like pretty much the standard prices they are on trade. So 79.5x for just all of the gear for the character, aside from the jewels and the gems. It's not too shabby, to be honest, considering how much damage the character itself can actually do, as well as, you know, it's all content viable. So moving on to the skill tree now. Now the skill tree is very similar to the Facebreaker one. Because we are still max block. We have a few changes over here. So we are going, I guess I'll start with this jewel. The path of building is going to be in the description, so you can follow it anyway. So the Unnatural Instinct up here is pretty much the same as last time, if you've seen that video. This Unnatural Instinct, as you can see down there, gives a ton of stats. So if you do put the Unnatural Instinct here, just make sure you take these 2 nodes so they get cancelled out by the Unnatural Instinct, and this will just give you 6% chance to block, as well as a bunch of res, move speed, dex, strength, fizz damage. It's just so good in this slot. So yeah, moving on from that, down here, as you can see, this is a beautiful Thread of Hope. This is a large ring Thread of Hope, and if you put it in this socket down here, you can pick up so many decent nodes, to be honest. So yeah, I'm taking Testero down here for the block and recover life on block, as well as defenses, which is decent. And then also Blade Dancer falls into the ring, which gives us more damage, a lot more damage, as well as overwhelm fizz reduction and melee strike range. Panopticon it's such a good passive, guys. Panopticon, that's the one that buffs your totem effects. So this is, I've pretty much started trying to pick this up on pretty much any build I can play, which would use a totem usually, because it's just so strong. And then over here, we can also take Swift Skewering with the large ring. So this is also very nice if you need that extra impale. But also, you know, it gives you 10% more overwhelm, as well as 5% increased impale effect and attack speed. So this is very nice if you have a spare point for it as well. We're still coming over this way, but we're not necessarily going all the way up here anymore. I'm just coming up here for Transcendent Flesh, because Transcendent Flesh in this socket is just too strong. If you come up like this and take your node similar to my tree, as you can see, this Transcendent Flesh gives 56% to critical strike multiplier, which is just, you know, it's a ridiculous amount of crit multi. That is more than a triple crit multi, and this is only 2.4x, 2.3x, something like that. So that is, you know, a super good jewel to put there, and very cheap as well. And then, yeah, because we're not going up here, this is why we're not in disemboweling. We haven't took the multi nodes down here either. This could also be okay, I guess, if for whatever reason you go up to disemboweling. But yeah, over here on the right side, we come over to the right side as well. We take aspect of the links for a bit of dex and ints, as well as, you know, attack damage, move speed, and crit chance, which is very nice. This also more strength and dex, and attack speed and chance to block again. But we want to come over here because we're going to take intuitive leap, and you'll probably need the resistances from survivalist. So this is quite a nice leap. You can take another frenzy charge as well, since we're using ferals. It's also very good. Heartseek is just good. Aquity is just good. It's just this intuitive leap site is just great. And then we're also coming down to brutal blade and fatal blade for, you know, more sword damage, more chance to block. Yeah. So if I look at my stats actually real quick, I do have 76% chance to block, and then once I am Cyclone, I have 79, and that is because of my cluster jewels. So I'm only using 2, so don't worry too much. They're not even expensive. We have a Feed the Fury, Fuel the Fight, Martial Prowess, 8 with attack damage, about 2x, quite cheap to be fair compared to other cluster jewels, so not too bad. And then inside the thingy, we are taking all of the nodes. Feel the Fight gives us the mana leech, as well as damage whilst leeching. Life leech, damage whilst leeching, and martial prowess just being attack damage, speed, accuracy, and yeah, it's just so good. So the medium cluster is about 20c, and it's precise focus and stoic focus, with a little bit of Elires on there. So this is the one that gives us the last 3% chance to block that we need, as well as making our Cyclone deal 25% increased damage, and then precise focus 30% increase critical strike chance, while channeling, and 20% to crit multi if you've been channeling for at least 1 second, which, you know, you're pretty much always channeling with Cyclone. So this is quite a nice little jewel as well for very cheap. And then as for my normal jewels, I'm just using a damage with swords, life, and triple res one, I guess, double res, whatever. Because, you know, kind of star for resistances, so you probably will need to pick up some resistances on the jewel. Over on this one, again, life with a bit of fire and cold, as well as damage with one-handed weapons, and a crit multi on there. So these ones are quite cheap themselves, not too bad. If you have capped resistances and whatnot, you can just go for crit multi jewels, and you'll probably do more damage than I do. My build currently has 699% crit multi. Obviously, you can see all the calcs and stuff in Path of Building in the description. Over on these two jewels over here, these are both triple crit multi jewels. The attack damage while dual wielding is useless, and also crit chance of one-handed melee weapons is okay, I guess, but it's not really, you know, breaking the bank. So these are about 5x each as well. And yeah, I think that just about covers the jewels. Yeah, if you want to follow the tree, that's it. It's in the description. You can just, you know, level a Cyclone at this point as well. Don't league start with this though. I mean, you can league start with this. It's not a very good league starter, to be honest, compared to other league starters, but I would definitely go the phase breaker route if you're planning to league start with Cyclone, just FYI. And then for the Ascendancy, max block, so we're taking the Painful Words, Versatile Combatant, and the Violent Retaliation, as well as the Arena Challenger, because these are useless, because they're for bleed. So yeah, pretty standard stuff for the Ascendancy as well, just pretty quick stuff, guys. Yeah, we're also taking Call to Arms for the Enduring Cry, of course, because Enduring Cry is boss. So yeah, just about covers the skill tree as well. I will be moving on to the gems next. Alright guys, so before I jump into the gems, let's just very quickly look at the prices over here. So for the jewels, I forgot to cover the jewels at the end again, my bad. So the jewels are quite cheap as well, aside from the Unnatural Instinct and the double crit multi ones. My Unnatural Instinct has Corrupted Blood. You don't need to get Corrupted Blood on your Unnatural Instinct, it's very expensive. It goes from 12x to 40x, so that is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So I would just go with Corrupted Blood on a different part of your gear, and just go for a standard Unnatural Instinct. And then the triple crit multi-jewels, if you can't afford them, you can just drop them for double multi in life or something like that, and it's absolutely fine. Even single multi, it will not break the build. The build will still be very powerful even without these. These are just, you know, a lot of added bonus if you want to absolutely get the most damage out of things. But yeah, aside from those 3 jewels, not really too expensive to be honest. So yeah, it's not too bad. And then the gems as well, because Cyclone doesn't really use any of the expensive gems. It uses Brutality and Melee Fizz. It doesn't use Multi-Strike or anything like that. It's quite expensive. Sorry, it's quite cheap. So I've only put the expensive gems in here, so it's about 15.5x. I haven't included the other ones because they're about 10c each. So if you want to slap another X on for every single other jewel, every single other gem, then you can do that. But yeah, pretty cheap. So the Cyclone setup is just standard. I'm using Vol Cyclone again for the duration tag, but you don't need it if you don't have the +2 duration on your chest. So yeah, Cyclone supported by Impale, of course. You know, Impale is mandatory. And then Awaken Brutality and Melee Fizz are always good. And then we've also got a Divergent Fortify. Divergent gives you Overwhelm while you have Fortify, and since we're always going to be hitting with Cyclone, we always have Fortify, so I quite like Divergent. You don't necessarily need that either, but that's just the one I'm using. And then also Infused Channeling, which is a great defensive layer, as well as, you know, 41% more damage, so very strong gem over there. Moving on to the aura setup, we have Divergent Precision level 20. You can just use normal or anomalous if you really want more mana freed up, but I like Divergent for the increased damage. Flesh and Stone 21, as well as Herald and Purity 21. And then those are supported by Enlighten 4. You will need Enlighten 4, unfortunately, because as you can see from my mana, we are starved for mana right now. I have 36 mana left over, and I don't have the minus mana cost, so I start doing this dance a lot. That is exactly why I need the flask. So, moving on from the aura setup over here, in my gloves, just Second Wind, Blood Rage, Dash, and Enduring Cry. So you're going to use a lot of skills on this bar as well. If you want to just put Enduring Cry on your movement ability, that's absolutely fine. But personally, I would definitely try and use it because it's so good if you can actually use it to, you know, a timed fight, like if you're in the Maven and you get hit by something, then you can pop it at a convenient time rather than having it on cooldown and just dying. I'd definitely try and learn to use it if I was you. But yeah, if you do struggle with that, feel free to just put it on your movement bar, and that's absolutely fine as well. And then, you know, just dash is dash. Yeah, not much to talk about there. Just dash. So in my helmet, cast wind damage taken 20 with Vol Molten Shell. Obviously another defensive layer, making us even tankier. Then we have Dread Banner and Blood and Sand in here. This is why our mana is so reserved right now. That's why we need the Enlighten 4 as well. So yeah, pretty standard stuff there. Moving on to the shield, I have Phantasmal Ancestral Protector and Ancestral War Chief, as well as multiple totem support. So this is why I've got Panopticon on my tree, because these Panopticon increases the buff effect of these totems, which increases our damage quite a lot, as you can see. If I come away from these totems real quick. So I have 406k DPS over there without the totems up, and then if I put the totems up over here, we now have 1.1 million. So yeah, Panopticon merged with both these totems is just clowny damage, just absolutely clowny damage. Just make sure you put the totems up when you're about to boss, when they're coming out their phases, and you will just melt them so quickly. Panopticon is fucking disgustingly good. And then in my weapon, I just have another cast wind damage taken set up with Summon a Stone Golem, and Culling Strike, but yeah, you don't really need anything. To be honest, like, you can put a Cast on Death Portal here if you really want. It doesn't really matter too much. It's just what I've got on here. So, yeah, that just about covers the gems. As for the bandits, I have gone with Kill All for the 2 points, but you can also go with Valera if you feel like you don't need the 2 points. If I was level 100, I'm only level 98. If I was level 100, I could go with Valera, and that would be absolutely fine as well, because I don't really need anything really on the tree now. I could just take 2 more life points up here, I guess, or I could opt for a Lyra, which would probably be better at level 100, because if I had a Lyra, I could drop Survivalist for a start, so that'd be an extra point anyway. But yeah, For the pantheon, sorry, if I can press the right key, my fat fingers are pressing the wrong buttons. Just same as always, Shikari and Arakali on max block because chaos damage and degen are our enemies. You can also go with unaffected by burning ground if it's really bothering you that much, but yeah, you probably won't need to. So that just about covers the entire build for this video. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to just hit me up on my Discord and I'll answer them if I've missed anything. You can also leave a comment in the comment section. For some reason, YouTube randomly deletes some of my comments when I reply to people, though, so just bear that in mind. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's probably that I've replied and then it's just vanished. So sorry for that. But yeah, take care, guys. I will catch you next time. I'm not sure if I will do any other build guides for this league. I might just wait for the patch notes now because, you know, we're getting closer to the end of the league and I'll probably do some league starter videos, league starter builds in the future. So if you want to see those, feel free to subscribe and I will catch you next time, guys. Take care and goodbye.